And we start the day's other news in Europe. A massive power outage in Spain and Portugal brought daily life for millions of people to a complete standstill. The outage affected train service, street traffic, and phone service. It's the second serious power outage in Europe in less than 6 weeks. ITN's John Ray has more.
It was the day the lights went out. The day that the trains and much else stopped working. The day the 21st century seemed to head to the exit, along with passengers evacuated from Madrid's metro. Darkness fell just after noon. A massive power cut hit millions of people and took the internet and mobile phones down across Spain and Portugal. It stopped play at the Madrid Open Tennis Championship.
It was an early start.
Robbing world number 2 Coco Gauff of her words
not get a lot of sleep
as the electricity failed. There were traffic lights on the blink, roads clogged, motorists urged to leave their cars at home. In Bilbao, in the north of Spain, a cable car stuck halfway up a hill, passengers walking back down. And in Alicante, in the south, tourists stranded.
WhatsApp down, can't get on the internet, it just keeps going on. So it's quite a difficult situation right now.
What's your plan for the rest of the day?
Going to try and see if we can use a card in this shop here, but it doesn't look like it's likely, so we're probably just going to head down to the beach.
In Portugal, metro stations were dark and deserted. The roads crowded, and Lisbon airport closed and chaotic. These pictures were taken by a British holidaymaker as he tried to make his way home.
All the taxis and buses were dropping passengers off sort of in the middle of a dual carriageway with a bit of a walk to the terminal. So there's this traipse of people with suitcases going up to the terminal, and as I got close, I realised that they weren't letting anyone actually into the airport. There were hundreds of people just left out on the hot pavement with the airport doors closed.
Back in Madrid, the regional president declared an emergency and put the army on standby. Portugal blamed Spain's electricity grid and extreme temperatures for the outage.
That was ITN's John Ray reporting. Spain's prime minister said today there is no conclusive information on what caused the blackout. Meantime, the president of the European Council posted on social media that there are no indications of any cyber attack. Power is starting to come back online in some areas. Also today at the Vatican, Catholic cardinals announced that the conclave to elect a new pope will start on May 7th. They met informally today for the first time following the funeral of Pope Francis this past weekend. The cardinals could have started the conclave as early as May 5th, but they decided to delay the proceedings so they can get to know each other and to give more time to find consensus on a candidate. Once the conclave starts, the College of Cardinals will sequester themselves inside the Sistine Chapel to elect the new pope. In Yemen, Houthi rebels say at least 68 people are dead after an alleged U.S. airstrike hit a prison holding African migrants. The detention center is in a region considered a Houthi stronghold in the country's northwest. Footage obtained by the NewsHour shows a scene of near-complete destruction. There has been no independent confirmation of the death toll, and the U.S. has not acknowledged carrying out an attack in the area. But the military says it's conducted more than 800 strikes in its month-long campaign against the Houthis. A Palestinian diplomat told the UN's top court today that Israel is killing and displacing civilians and targeting aid workers. The accusations came during the first day of hearings looking into Israel's legal responsibilities after it banned the UN's agency for Palestinian refugees from operating in its territory. Israel denies any wrongdoing and says the hearings are politicized. The Palestinian ambassador to the Netherlands told the court that Israel's actions violate international law.
Israel is starving, killing, and displacing Palestinians, while also targeting and blocking humanitarian organizations trying to save their lives.
On the ground in Gaza, health officials said today that the latest round of Israeli airstrikes killed more than 20 people across the territory. Israel has carried out daily attacks since ending its ceasefire with Hamas last month. It is Election Day in Canada. Voters are deciding who will be the nation's next prime minister. in an election that has been upended by Donald Trump's tariffs and his calls to make Canada the 51st state. That's fueled a rally in the polls for Liberal Prime Minister Mark Carney. He took over in March when longtime leader Justin Trudeau stepped down and has taken a firm stance against Mr. Trump's approach to Canada. Carney is hoping that will be enough to fend off a challenge from populist opposition leader Pierre Poilievre, who himself has been compared to Mr. Trump. Polls close later tonight with official results to follow. In Memphis, an historic black church that served as the organizing point for Martin Luther King Jr.'s final campaign caught fire earlier today. Claiborne Temple played a vital role in the 1968 sanitation worker strike that brought the civil rights leader to that city. The campaign's iconic I Am a Man posters were made in the temple's basement. Before the fire, it was undergoing a $25 million restoration project. Memphis Mayor Paul Young pledged today that the city will help rebuild the church. On Wall Street, stocks ended mixed as traders brace for a busy week of earnings reports and economic data. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added more than 100 points on the day. The Nasdaq ended lower, giving back around 16 points. The S&P 500 ended just barely in positive territory. And a new class of music legends will soon join the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Gonna do the twist, and it goes like this. Hey, come on, baby. Let's do the twist.
Among this year's inductees, Chubby Checker, who in 1960 had the world twisting with his infectious recording of The Twist. And the following year, Let's Twist Again. Checker, who's now 83, has spent decades campaigning for his own induction. Also making the cut is Outkast, the trailblazing hip-hop duo from Atlanta, and Cyndi Lauper, the flamboyant superstar of the 1980s pop scene, among others. The official induction ceremony will take place in November. Still to come on the NewsHour, we examine the effects of Donald Trump's first 100 days of his second term in office. Tamara Keith and Amy Walter break down the latest political headlines. And a brief but spectacular take on how motherhood can teach skills crucial for the corporate world.
This is the PBS NewsHour from the David M. Rubenstein Studio at WETA in Washington and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.